There are hitters who scare you because of power. There are hitters who scare you because of patience. There are hitters who scare you because they can beat you in a dozen different ways. And then there are the rare ones who scare you because they feel inevitable, like the game is already leaning toward their outcome. If you were a pitcher in the 2000s and Albert Pujols walked to the plate in a big moment, you didn't hope he would fail. You braced yourself. Because the ball was going to find a gap, or it was going to leave the yard, or it was going to be a line drive so loud that the only real question was, how many runs is this going to cost us? For a decade, Albert Pujols wasn't just great. He was automatic. He was baseball's most inevitable hitter. And today, we're opening the vault to explain why, how he arrived as a finished product, how he dominated in a way few hitters ever have, why pitchers said he had no holes, and why his story became one of the rare careers that felt destined from the first swing. This isn't just the story of a superstar. It's the story of a hitter who made the sport feel predictable, in the best way. When fans talk about inevitable athletes, they usually mean one of two things. Either the player always comes through in big moments, or the player always produces at such a high level that you stop being surprised. Albert Pujols was both. It wasn't just that he hit home runs. It wasn't just that he drove in runs. It wasn't just that he won awards. It was that for 10 years, he produced at a level so consistent that it became part of the weather. And the scariest part? He did it immediately. No learning curve, no give him time. He showed up in 2001 and looked like a Hall of Famer on day one. Albert Pujols won the 2001 National League Rookie of the Year award. And the numbers from that season still don't read like a rookie season. He hit for average. He hit for power. He hit with runners on base. He played the field. Then he did something even rarer. He repeated it, over and over. And that's where the legend begins. Because baseball is designed to humble you. Pitchers adjust. Scouting reports spread. The league finds your weakness. But with Pujols, the league didn't find the weakness. They found the problem. If you want the simplest proof of inevitability, look at the first 10 years of his career. From 2001 through 2010, Pujols didn't just have a great decade. He had one of the greatest 10-year runs in baseball history. In those first 10 seasons, he hit .331 with 408 home runs and 1,230 RBIs. That's not elite. That's absurd. For 10 years straight, he was basically the first name you wrote on the MVP ballot. ESPN's Stats Group pointed out that for traditionalists, he began his career with 10 straight seasons of a .300 average, 30 home runs, and 100 RBIs, the longest such streak at any point in a player's career. Think about the names you have to pass to own a record like that. Lou Gehrig, Babe Ruth. That's the neighborhood we're talking about. And it wasn't just the counting stats. It was the quality of the at-bats. He didn't chase the way most power hitters do. He didn't live on hot streaks and slumps. He controlled the strike zone like an elite lead-off hitter and hit like a cleanup monster. He could hurt you early in the count. He could hurt you late in the count. He could hurt you to all fields. That's what inevitability looks like. When a hitter is inevitable, you start hearing the same phrases from pitchers. No holes. No safe pitch. You can't make mistakes. Pujols created that feeling because he punished every type of mistake. Leave a fastball in? It's gone. Hang a breaking ball? It's in the gap or in the seats. Try to nibble? He takes the walk, and now you have a runner on for the next guy. Try to attack him inside? He turns on it. Try to go away? He goes the other way with authority. The scariest hitters are not the ones with one weapon. They're the ones with no easy answer. And for a decade, Pujols had no easy answer. Albert Pujols won 3 National League MVP awards, 2005, 2008, and 2009. In 2005, he hit .330/.430/.609 with 41 home runs. In 2008 and 2009 combined, MLB notes he hit .342/.452/.656 with 84 home runs. That's a video game line. But the most important part isn't the awards. It's the fact that you could pick any random season in that stretch and you'd get a Hall of Fame level performance. And that's why fans started to treat his greatness like a guarantee. He didn't just win MVPs. He lived in the top 5 every year. When you're in the MVP conversation for a decade, your greatness stops being a peak and becomes a baseline. If the regular season made him inevitable, October made him mythical. There are a few swings that live forever in baseball's memory, and for Pujols, one of them has a sound. The 2005 NLCS Game 5. Brad Lidge throws a slider. Pujols launches it, and the ball doesn't just leave the park, it leaves the frame. It becomes one of the most famous home runs of the modern era, not just for distance, but for the feeling that it created, that even the toughest relievers in the sport were vulnerable to him. That's inevitability on the biggest stage. And yes, he didn't win a title until later, but in the 2000s he was the centerpiece of the Cardinals' identity. A hitter who could change a postseason series with one swing. Here's what made Pujols different from other power hitters. Most sluggers trade contact for damage. They accept strikeouts as the price of power. Pujols didn't. He made contact, he walked, he hit line drives, he hit home runs, he struck out less than you'd expect from a hitter with that much power, and he did it with repeatable mechanics. His swing was compact, his hands were quick, he stayed balanced. He didn't sell out for pull power the way some sluggers do. This is why he could hit for average and power simultaneously. And this is why his production stayed so steady. You didn't have to wait for a hot streak. You didn't have to hope he found it. He was always there. Let's put some of his consistency into perspective. Pujols reached 100 RBIs in 10 consecutive seasons. He had seasons where he looked like the best hitter in baseball and still finished only second in MVP voting. He hit his 300th home run, then his 400th, then eventually his 700th. By the end of his career, he joined the exclusive 700 home run club, and MLB notes he is one of the very few players with 3,000 hits and 3 MVP awards. That combination is rare because it requires both peak dominance and long-term accumulation. He wasn't just great at his best, he was great for a very long time. Now here's where the story gets complicated, because inevitability has an enemy, time. Pujols' decline wasn't sudden in the way some fans remember. It was gradual, and then it accelerated. A big part of that was physical. Leg and foot injuries piled up. Fangraphs noted that during his Angels years, his body struggled to withstand a litany of leg and foot issues, including hamstrings, knees, and plantar fasciitis. If you've ever tried to swing a bat with your lower half compromised, you understand the problem. Power comes from the ground. Timing comes from the legs. Balance comes from stability. When the foundation cracks, the swing changes. The bat slows down just enough. The margin for error shrinks. And when you're built on inevitability, shrinking margin matters. In 2011, Pujols left St. Louis for a massive contract with the Angels. This move became one of the most debated free agent decisions in modern baseball. Not because he wasn't worth it at his peak, but because baseball careers rarely stay peak for long. In Anaheim, the legend met reality. He still had moments. He still had seasons where the raw totals looked strong. But the Pujols who controlled every at-bat in St. Louis was fading. ESPN analyzed his decline and noted that after 2011, his walk rate and on-base ability dropped in ways that were unusual compared to other elite hitters aging gracefully. The picture was clear. His body was changing, and his approach had to change with it. This is where the inevitability started to disappear. Not because pitchers stopped fearing his name, but because pitchers started believing there was a plan. Here's what most people miss about the back half of Pujols' career. He adjusted. He didn't become a joke. He became a role player, a platoon bat, a veteran presence. And that matters because most superstars don't accept that transition well. But Pujols kept going, and eventually, in a twist that felt like baseball poetry, he returned to St. Louis for one final season in 2022. In 2022, Albert Pujols did something almost no one expected. He turned back the clock. He surged late. He hit for power. And he made a real run at 700 home runs. On September 23, 2022, he joined the 700 Home Run Club. MLB's career page notes he finished with 703 home runs, and he passed Babe Ruth for second on the all-time RBI list. It was the kind of ending fans dream about. A legend returning home, finding one last gear, and leaving the game with a final burst of inevitability. Not prime inevitability, but storybook inevitability. Now we can answer the big question. Why does Albert Pujols feel more inevitable than other great hitters? Because he combined four things almost no one combines for a full decade. 1. Elite contact quality. He didn't just hit home runs, he hit lasers. 2. Elite strike zone control. He forced pitchers to enter his world. 3. All fields power. You couldn't shift your defense into a safe place. 4. Unmatched consistency. 10 straight years of .300 30-100 is not a stat. It's a statement. Most legends have peaks. Pujols had a decade where his peak was his baseline. That's why pitchers feared him. That's why fans expected greatness. That's why he felt inevitable. Albert Pujols' career teaches a rare lesson. Sometimes it looks like reliability, like inevitability, like a hitter walking up and making the game feel unfair. Every single season. He gave us a decade of dominance, a long career of milestones, and a final season that felt like a reward for everyone who watched him from the beginning. And if you were there in the 2000s, watching him in St. Louis, you remember the feeling. The feeling that the Cardinals could be down a run in the ninth and it didn't matter. Because Albert Pujols was coming up, and something was going to happen. So here's the question. When you think of the most inevitable hitters ever, where does Albert Pujols rank? Above Bonds? Above Ruth? Above Mays? Or is there someone else who felt even more automatic? Drop your answer in the comments, and tell us the next legend you want opened in the vault.